Hello, everybody. Welcome to ClapperCast, episode 135. We are back from our brief hiatus with visual now. If you want to see our beautiful faces, go onto our YouTube channel. The link will be in the description. Or if you're on YouTube and you don't want to see our faces, which I think is incredibly valid, you can go to our audio versions, I guess, on all your podcast platforms. But I'm your host, as always, Carson Tamar. First joined by Paul Price. You are back. How are you today, Paul?
I'm fine. I'm definitely not sick, and everything's great.
We definitely didn't have a whole plan a week ago to film this. It fell through, and then on our last day we could, Paul's like, "Oh, I'm super sick today." It totally is it's okay, everyone. But luckily we're joined also by Michael Fairbanks, icon, legend. How are you doing today?
Well, I didn't get sick at Avatar, so I'm considering that a win. Not one person in my IMAX screening coughed or sneezed. No one even talked.
That's wow.
So I dare say I'm doing pretty good.
Was there any cheering like they do at the MCU events? Did they cheer?
Actually, no, but one guy did boo the Mission Impossible trailer. It was just one guy, it was one guy right in front of me. It ends
So
with
it was you.
Boo.
Yeah, so you booed the Mission Impossible trailer.
I literally stared daggers into him too. I was like, if you don't shut up.
We had people,
go ahead.
We had people cheer for the Barbie trailer, I'll say, at mine. So
we didn't get the Barbie trailer. They only showed Oppenheimer. I know. They only showed Oppenheimer, and then Oppenheimer looks incredible. People were acting like the Oppenheimer trailer was trash, and then it looks phenomenal.
Look.
I'm excited because those two movies are coming out on my birthday, so I'll be having a nuclear holocaust and Barbie party.
And before Paul's like, this week we shouldn't do either on the podcast, and we should just do my birthday selections. And I have to turn him down. I'm going to be like, no, buddy, sorry.
Right, exactly.
Well, no, we just do a birthday month.
I don't think you're getting a birthday month this year. I think we did that last year. Fun, whatever. We're not doing it again. I think we're down to one episode, if that. We'll give you can decide the question of the week or something. It'll be something good for you.
Birthday segment.
Birthday segment, exactly. That might get cut from the episode. We'll see. Right. I mean, we'll just see how it goes, right? Cut it down at least.
The commercial break can just be you two singing happy birthday.
Oh, God.
Sure. If you want to hear us sing, I'll throw it on the Patreon. Why not? So today we are discussing, because it comes out on Netflix today, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, which is Rian Johnson's sequel to Knives Out, a film I presume we've all seen, and I assume we all enjoyed. Most people enjoyed it. Detective Benoit Blanc is back on the case, now in Greece during the COVID pandemic, when he is invited to the island alongside this group of friends known as the Disruptors for a murder mystery game that might just turn out to be a real murder mystery. Who knows? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but yeah, I mean, someone dies. It's kind of the point of the movie. Let's begin with just our spoiler-free thoughts, and we'll get into spoilers if you've seen the film. Great, we'll talk about that later. Let's get into our spoiler-free thoughts on the film. Paul, if you want to start, and then we'll just go around, give our thoughts, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. So when you mentioned, I think all of us have seen Knives Out, I have a weird experience with Knives Out because the first time I watched it, I didn't just hate it, I despised it. Despised it. And it was because I'm so used to, I was raised on murder mysteries. And so the Hercule Poirot and all those kind of things, not the new movies, but the original TV shows, the Miss Marples, all the things like those. I watched them and you're like, you have to know, the basics of a murder mystery. And then this said, that doesn't matter. And the first time I watched it, I hated it. The second time I watched it, I was like, I know what's coming, so I'll just enjoy it for the comedy. And I did enjoy it as a comedy. And I have said in my Letterboxd review, I was like, yeah, no, actually, I really did like it. And I've changed my mind. Since then, I've gone closer to the middle of those two. But then I watched this and felt like a lot of the same things. Feels like a man can't make a murder mystery. And that really bugs me. I've seen so many of his mysteries at this point, and all of them, not just this, but Brick and everything, all of them are a little just hey, I'm making a movie with the word mystery in it, and that'll be enough for you. But in terms of like locations and everything and performances and everything, also boring. But I'll let you guys continue.
So for me, I sort of see these as Rian Johnson's Oceans movies, in the sense that, like, it really at this point isn't about doing like a really accomplished murder mystery so much as it is like, I have this amazing setting and these 10 celebrities picked up the phone this time. Let's all go here and just figure out what the fuck we're doing. And I think, like, as that, I liked this one a lot. I don't know if I really liked it as much as the original, because I do think that the mystery in the original was a little bit more solid. Whereas this one is really boldly and blatantly a hangout movie, which is what I think specifically made Paul so angry, was that, like, the mystery is so secondary to the point to where they even undercut the mystery, like, blatantly in one scene. But I do think that overall it's just, like, clever and funny enough, just on a moment to moment, line to line basis, to where I was never not laughing, never not enjoying it. And I think that ultimately that's the more important thing when it's this big franchise, is just like, can it provide like a good crowd experience? And also, like, I do think that it's more of a social commentary vehicle than a vehicle for like a really compelling mystery. I know Paul's wants to puke. I don't care. It's just like, but like it's more just like Benoit Blanc is Rian Johnson, just sort of living amongst and inquiring upon like all the people that he's looking down on in like this scenario. And I think this was a good one. It made me want to see more. I think it secured my thought that it could really work as a franchise.
See, what this is, let's just be clear, Knives Out is a straight man's White Lotus. Like, we just need to be honest with that. Like, you just have this ensemble cast that changes each time, with one of the characters coming back, and it's just a hangout movie with a light murder mystery aspect. I enjoyed the first Knives Out. I think the mystery is terrible. I'm going to be honest. I think the first mystery Knives Out is like not good. I think it's stupid. It tries to like really get you on like, oh, there's not really a mystery, but then, oh, there is one and there is a murder and blah, blah, blah. And like, I get it, but I don't think it's that clever. I think the key there is that the original Knives Out is hysterical. I think it's one of the best theatrical experiences I've had, especially with a crowd like eating it up, laughing at every scene. I think it plays incredibly well. Glass Onion, similarly, has a pretty weak story, I would say, outside of one reveal that we will get to. I don't think the mystery is that captivating. I pretty much predicted every single thing that was going to happen, and the film didn't disappoint me in really any way, with my expectations there. The issue is it's just not very funny, at least for me, and my audience seemingly agreed, because there were very few laughs here. I went to the press screening, similar size to what Banshees of Inisherin got. Banshees had everyone laughing the entire time. Glass Onion did not. It's just like, I don't know. I agree with you where Rian Johnson's trying to insert a ton of social commentary, but also like, it's weird to make a murder mystery film and franchise when you're seemingly not that interested in having a murder mystery. None of the murder mysteries in either of these films have been that shocking or engaging. He tries to shock you and engage you with a turn on narrative to where it's not what you expect in some way. There's this big like narrative twist, but it's not necessarily related to the mystery. So by the end of this, and I think luckily it moves fantastically. I was shocked that this thing was over. I literally thought we were in the middle of the film and then it ends. But overall, like, I don't know, this one is not that great of a mystery, and it's also not that funny to where, like, I think it's fine if you're on Netflix. Like, I can see around with the family to watch this, but I was like, oh, I will watch number 3, but I'm not really excited for it. I don't know. This one just didn't do a ton for me, which kind of sucks because I think a lot of people are going to love this.
I think
Yeah.
part of what helps me enjoy these movies is that I think people have this very like strange perception of Rian Johnson, that he's just actively making every creative decision with extremely malicious and narcissistic intent. Like, he just sits there and he's just like, what would be the biggest asshole thing for me to do to like make people as mad as possible? Like, people think he really like sits there and intentionally like plots this shit out.
I
where like for me, I just
I think he
perceive
does.
everything he does. And it's just like it just comes off as so fun to me. Like it doesn't really like seem that vindictive to me. Like it just seems like he's like, my idea of fun would be to just set up a farce as a murder mystery, or set up set up a Star Wars movie as a character study, or like whatever weird inside out thing he's doing. But to me, it always just seems playful, and then people just take it so intensely, and people always like twist him into having these like evil mastermind motivations.
Well, what I think is interesting. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say what's interesting is I do think that there's like three types of the same movie, same vibe happened three times where it's the sequel to something. Carson mentioned White Lotus. I would say the other one is our movie of the year, Death on the Nile. But here's
I wasn't going to bring it up, Paul. God damn it.
No, I think it's important to bring up because I think all three. I don't find someone who likes all three. I don't think I've ever seen it. I think it ends up being there's people who love Glass Onion, are cool with White Lotus, and didn't like, or vice versa, or didn't like Death on the Nile. And I think there's just something about like where camp lies and where satire's hitting. I think mostly like, it's just sensibilities are clashing a little bit, but it's very interesting to watch because I've had this exact same conversation with people on the defensive side for, Death on the Nile, where I'm like, no, but it's like a fun, dumb time. Like, who cares? And people are like, no, it has to be a film. It has to be a movie. And then I'm like, well, this needs to be a film. It needs to be a movie. And they're like, no, it's a fun, dumb time. And like, I require both. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like, in a position of where I, can say that that's not how I think. It's exactly. But it is interesting to see that that's becoming a thing more than, in terms of like, I'll allow this in movies, but not this based on my own sensibilities. Which I guess was a rise from the cinema sins kind of people.
Yeah, but like,
if I don't like something, I'm going to tear it to shreds for stupid reasons.
Sure. I think just like inherently though, it just depends on like, what do you find as fun? I personally scream when I see Gal Gadot dressed like Cleopatra on the Nile. And I'm like, this is the best experience of my life. That speaks to me. I'm going to say as a gay man, I don't know if it's because I'm gay, but it feels that way. Like that Death on the Nile, I'm having a blast with. It's fine. If Glass Onion was fun, I would have no issues with it. But sadly, there's no Gal Gadot. Like, I don't find Peace and Love, Dave Bautista, like yelling around like an angry man. Like, I don't find that as fun as Gal Gadot, like being Gal Gadot in the Wild fucking Army Hammer on the pyramids. Like, sorry.
Well, and I do
this
find
is why
that,
we're getting This is why we're getting a full Gal Gadot Cleopatra movie.
Yeah.
And I will be there opening night. I have goodles in my kitchen right now.
We're giving it a pass now, but then hour 3 of I'm the Queen of Egypt.
Oh God.
I literally campaigned for Jared Leto to get Oscar nominated for House of Gucci. You need to understand I will be the entire year campaigning her for Best Actress.
And also he's the only one of us who got into Sundance, and Sundance is like, what are we doing here? They're like, we really need someone that everyone just like hot takes on, so let's put him in.
Someone to just really anger the people. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Am I the drama?
When I give Morbius a fresh rating, but I don't give like women talking, like, yeah, I think I might be the problem.
Oh God.
I will say Glass Onion looks nice. Like, it shouldn't be shocking with it being Netflix and Rian Johnson. Like, the production design is nice. I like the artwork. I like the character, the costumes.
To me is like where it gets it done as a movie though. Like when what Paul was saying, like how he doesn't think that like Glass Onion really fully like hits that cinematic mark. Like to me, I think the visuals and the presentation of it give it that elevated quality, even if the elevated quality isn't necessarily like an incredibly complex mystery. Like the presentation and like that opening scene where everyone's opening up the packages from Edward Norton and it's the split screen and all that. That was like out of a comic book.
Which is so weird because if you read most people who love the movie, that's their least favorite scene. And I was like, oh, I was having fun then. I was having a great time during that. Like when she's like trying to answer questions and she's just an idiot. I was like, this is so fun. Kate Hudson like doing some really great work. And I just feel like we lost some of the characters when they get on the island. Like they're a lot campier. Like, you know, having like the scientist like in his science, you know, lab like trying to solve this. I'm like, this is so dumb. I love this. And then like once they get out of their specific areas, I think I lose a little bit of the charm of those characters. But overall, yeah, like it's even funny, Carson, when you get a little more negative. I'm like defensive of this movie. I didn't like, but I'm like, it's just weird because I kind of get it too. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's one of those movies that I just feel like is not for me, and I just have to accept that, which is hard. Every movie,
yeah, I mean,
for me
because there's going to be 10 more.
And I don't like hate this film. I want to be like clear. Like I did overall, I think want to say I enjoyed it, but like I agree. I just don't think this is for me.
For podcast listeners, Carson is wearing a Rian Johnson whodunit hat,
which I did not buy. They sent this to me, so let's be clear. I did not purchase this hat.
For a second, when you said that, I thought you were saying that this movie is for podcast listeners, and I was like, "That's for fucking sure."
Yeah, no, you nailed it there.
Same thing. But yeah, I think the other interesting thing is I feel like we didn't build on Blanc's character that much outside of the reveal that he's gay. I don't know why I was holding it like a surprise.
Yes.
Which
slay,
yes,
slay
does nothing for me. But I'm happy for him. I guess.
Why doesn't it do anything for you, Paul?
Because it feels.
Do you
like
not appreciate queer representation?
No, it feels like a straight guy going, well, he is a dandy, so.
I mean, Daniel Craig is starting a new gay people movies era. With
I know. There's something very weird. Like, okay, you know how we like slowly find out years and years later, like Cary Grant was like fucking around with like what is like Rudolph Valentino or something. I feel like we're gonna find this all out with like Rachel Weisz and Daniel Craig. They're gonna be like, they lived in the same house, but for the most part, they were just fucking the same sex. Like, it's my one thing. I'm always like, you guys just keep going. You're like, it's either the worst case of like gay baiting I've ever seen, or they're like just being blatant.
Come to ClapperCast, where we make rumors about celebrities being gay when they're not.
That is not a rumor.
Our era.
Because otherwise I'm saying he's gay baiting, and that makes me sad. Because his entire career right now is playing gay guys. Even James Bond is gay. His version of James Bond is like, I've fucked dudes.
Like, isn't it weird that everyone's like, oh, I'm so happy Benoit Blanc is gay, and yet when Billy Eichner makes Bros, they're like, fuck him for casting gay people, gay actors. How dare he?
I'd say they should have Billy Eichner in the next Knives Out, but these days he probably wouldn't get cast.
Oh my god. Yeah, after having that big a flop.
I will say though, right there. I will say though, on the whole topic of him being gay, if they wanted to do a Holmes and Watson mystery with the person they reveal is Benoit's boyfriend, I would be so excited for that.
Well, that's what. Someone mentioned it. Oh, your girlfriend, Michael.
Yes.
Said that it should be the fake royal family, and I was like, that makes sense. But I I do worry that now that the queen is dead, you can't really do it.
Yeah.
Unless you feels weird.
Rian Johnson would 100% do it. If people think that this would be the Rian Johnson personality that everyone thinks he has, where like he's going to be like, I started writing this the day the queen died. I just had an outpouring of emotions towards the royal family, and I just had to let them out. We all know the best way to react to tragedy is through comedy. Like that's who people think Rian Johnson is. People think that he was doing a script reading for Knives Out 3 at Lizzie's funeral.
He probably was, knowing Rian Johnson.
I mean, Rian Johnson is a monster, and I think we all need to admit it.
First he kills Star Wars, now he's gonna kill the queen again. Like 1 year, you know.
It's actually wild how making one good Star Wars movie destroyed the entire franchise.
Listen,
I
we
don't
don't
want to
talk
get into
about
my
Star
thoughts on
Wars.
Star Wars.
It's like, you know how people aren't supposed to talk about politics? I've always felt that with Star Wars. Well, I haven't always felt that.
With
I
Last
felt
Jedi,
it
that
since
definitely
the
is
Last
the
Jedi
case
came
now.
out.
Paul, imagine being me in my opinions, where I think the only good one is Rise of Skywalker. Like, what do you want?
Okay, but these like Rise of Skywalker boys are like I'm starting to see this be a trend. It's not just you. I've seen a lot of people and they think they're real fucking like they've got some big new take. You know, I actually really like the Rise of Skywalker. That's my favorite. I've talked to like 4 people who think this. Fucking pisses me off.
Bitch, I was there before the embargo even broke saying it was good. Like, let's be real, fuckers. I was there first.
It's the new Return of the Jedi. It 100% is how like Return of
And
the Jedi
actually,
like,
and I've
sucks.
already. This is definitely. You know what? Actually, we can pull it back because I will say something. Return of the Jedi and Rise of Skywalker both are like the ones where it just allows the movie to like be fun, and be a little bit more about like hanging out with people, which I think part the twist in this movie. I guess we're moving slowly into spoilers, so spoiler section.
Yeah, we can go into the spoiler
Okay.
section. So spoilers from here on out.
Okay, so like the twist, I think really hurts Benoit's character because there's a
Maybe what
whole
is the twist? You want to say it?
the twist. He was not invited to the island by Miles at all, and wasn't invited by someone else. He was fully aware that Helen, who is Janelle Monáe's character, had invited him and was pretending to be her sister, which is great. And like as a twist, I was like, oh, that's clever. But my problem with it is it doesn't allow you to spend much time with Blanc beforehand to start learning who this character is. You know, I would say my one negative about Death on the Nile, one of my big negatives, is the whole setup on why he has a mustache. Scene.
You don't like that part?
It's so
That's
corny.
shocking to me.
No, that's the no, I like when it's just like sexy nonsense.
The most masturbatory part of the movie is the part you don't like. I can't believe that.
Oh,
I'm
I thought you were being. A lot of people like it, so
No, I
like,
know. I
people-
remember. I
Melina
like
loves
the
it.
movie, like that reveal. But
I wasn't there with you when you watched it, but I just like when I saw
No,
that
'cause,
scene, I just imagined you being like, "Oh, this is great."
no, but I did watch it on film, which also I think helped me like that movie. It was like 70 mil, which was really cool. It had like, I know. Why did theaters have 70 mil copies of?
Because it's artwork. Because it's art.
It was so funny. Okay, but back to the movie. So Cassie has ostensibly committed suicide, and Helen is like, "We got to figure this out. I think she was murdered. You come, and I'll pretend to be Cassie." And it's all fine, but I think it's at the expense of giving Benoit any sort of character arc, because once again, he isn't the lead character in his own movie. And we did this the first time with
Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she used to be famous. Um,
Yeah.
But they did it with Ana de Armas, and I feel like it's the second movie in a row where our lead character doesn't do anything. He doesn't seem to solve much. It all seems pretty. And this is the second movie where it's just been like it kind of fell into his lap.
He solves the fake mystery better than the real one.
What?
He solves.
I was pissed. He's like, oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was saying he solves the fake mystery better than the real mystery.
Yeah.
But why is he good here? Wasn't the joke in the first film like he's an incompetent detective who doesn't know anything and it falls into his lap? And here he like sits down for dinner and he's like, here's the angles that this would fire at, and I'm such a good detective now. I was like, I don't.
Yeah, no, he's supposed to be a little bumbling in the first one, but he keeps solving things, which I thought was like part of the joke. He's a bit
he's like
Clouseau
Columbo
from the Pink Panther movies.
Or Columbo, like he pretends.
Yeah, Columbo will work too. And instead, he is very smart in this, but also he doesn't solve the mystery. It's very much given to him. And I will say, when they have that line like, oh, there's, the lights are going to go out and you've left a loaded gun, and the lights went out, I knew who the killer was. And we proceeded to have another, like, fucking, 50 minutes of movie where I'm like, you already told us who the killer is. That wasn't a...
I mean, it doesn't help when the killer is literally just the person who is the villain in the movie.
It's just Elon Musk.
like that's why I don't even really criticize it as a mystery, because the solution is so stupid that I just don't even really count it as a mystery. It's just like a trip, pretty much.
I will say one of my favorite things about this movie was I'm watching it, and I was like, very sad about the fact that they couldn't use this power, and I was like, they were like, it could blow people up, and I'm like, yeah, but we should keep trying it. Like, I was very pro, like, see what happens. Like, maybe don't market it to the whole world yet, but like, I'm sure a lot of things were bad. Look at Oppenheimer.
Right,
look how that turned out.
I don't know if it turned out good.
Believe in Oppenheimer at first. Now he's got a movie about him.
Right.
I mean, it was working fine. If his entire island was powered on it, it was going fine.
And she had to throw a bomb into it. I just
yeah.
My biggest problem was like, they didn't say there's no hope for it to be usable, and that was like, to me, an issue, because I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I understand he's a bad guy, but also it felt a little pointed.
Paul's like, give SpaceX a chance, guys.
No.
I believe in Elon.
Like, I think that a lot of the Elon stuff is very stupid, but this wasn't stupid enough for me. Paul's it wasn't like something that you're like, it's not buying Twitter and then saying that no one can link out of Twitter. Like, it's not the dumbest thing that you could do. I also thought about that. I don't think we can link out our podcast anymore from Twitter.
I don't think we can link anything. I think it's over. But we're not going on Hive. I'm sorry. Hive does not work. I'm not doing that.
I thought Hive was Bumble for a second, and I was like, why not?
Oh, you can find us on Grindr, by the way. Let's be clear. ClapperCast.
We should do a Grindr exclusive.
Oh, God.
Sure. Aren't they making films now? Like, or Pornhub
That's
is,
called
or
porn.
someone.
Tinder has a production company.
Yeah, they do, and they make a lot of interactive movies, and I really like them. You have to log on to Tinder to watch them, and it was like one of those things where if you miss an episode, you're like, I don't know what's going on anymore. It was very poorly made, but also I love interactive stuff, so I watched all the way through it. It was like an end of the world thing, but you like choose your own adventure. It was very fun.
You have fun. A Tinder addiction when you keep up with your Tinder stories.
The funniest part is I was like not using Tinder at the time, so I downloaded Tinder. I was the reason they had it.
Like, I ran out of streaming services.
Well, now that Quibi's gone, Tinder's
right. Exactly.
Mine.
Did I tell you one of my friends made a show for Quibi? And it was like one of those things. It's the weirdest thing in the world to like be jealous of someone.
Chrissy's Court?
No, he made the show with the chick from Game of Thrones.
Oh, the Sophie Turner one?
Yeah, he made that.
She was like on a mountain, right? She was like stuck on a mountain.
He was the writer of it. And it was very weird to go from like super jealous to like, oof, sorry.
Yeah. It was a big break, all right.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's got to make a couple movies now. He's doing fine. But no, like overall, wow, we really lost the plot a little bit.
I like Janelle Monáe, I'll say. I don't think she's like...
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway people are having is that Janelle Monáe is incredible. I pushed back a bit because I'm like, she's the only one in the movie who has like emotional substance, so it's not that hard to seem impressive when you're the only one doing something worthwhile. But I think she's good.
It's no making another album, that's for sure. That's what I have to say. That's what I have to say about her performance. I really did enjoy her. It's just whenever she acts, her music is just so much better. And I just sit there thinking about how much better her music is the entire time. Even though she was terrific in this and very funny. And like I do
So
think that
funny.
she
Me
definitely
watching
like
Lady Gaga and Joker too.
right,
Like, get back in
right,
the get back in the
right.
studio.
Like she
Except she's gonna be
definitely,
singing the whole time, so you'll be fine.
I think she did a good job
Sure.
with the dual roles too, like making the two characters feel different and
Yeah.
everything.
My biggest well, when you talk about that too, I feel like Janelle Monáe in this isn't as career making as Ana de Armas in Knives Out, which I feel like it's just weird in terms of her getting talked about for a best supporting actress kind of like nom is like, yeah, you won't like, she's good, but I don't see it as like as impressive as, oh, I have no clue who this Ana de Armas is, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, she's the biggest star in the world, and then now she's who is Ana de Armas, but I have nothing against Ana de Armas, but also like
It would
Look,
be
Blonde
so
did not work
funny.
out.
Blonde really was a lot for me.
It would be
It's so
so
sad that
funny
everyone was like, "This is her Oscar," and now it's just like, "Well, who the hell is that? I don't know who
Yeah,
that woman is."
It would be
it's so
so funny if that John Wick spinoff comes out and people see the trailer and they're like, "Holy shit, Marilyn Monroe's in a John Wick movie? How did that happen?"
It's like that movie that they were going to do where they were going to CGI James Dean to star in it.
Right, exactly. They could
But
put Marilyn. They could deep fake Marilyn Monroe into a John Wick spinoff, and it would
that's
be
what.
it would be less exploitive than Blonde. That would be a better use of her image.
Oh God. Um. Yeah, I think she's fine. I think that you know, doing two performances is not the big deal that people are acting like it is. Like that's just acting. Like
Especially
it's
when
not
one
like
of them is dead the whole time,
yeah.
technically.
Um. And only has like a couple, like I think borderline silent. Um. I don't. Does she ever talk? Maybe like,
I think
oh,
she has like
line.
one line in a flashback.
Yeah. So like, is it really that impressive? I mean, I guess her performance as herself is supposed to be. You know what? This is like the exact opposite of that show, Orphan Black, a couple of years ago, where like the impressive aspect of it was that Tatiana Maslany um, would do like 9 characters and they were all having conversations with each other, and each one of them sounded different and looked different and had an overall performance that was different. This is like doing a role where you're just playing your playing a character and then saying she's playing the other character is not like, it's not that big a deal. But I also see that there's no one else that you can really rally around, and I feel like every movie now needs like, and this is the person we would put up for our movie, because then it gives the movie like a two-pronged reason to watch it. um I think that's what Wakanda Forever is doing right now with pushing Angela Bassett. Um, Although I would say out of the two, I would prefer Bassett over Monet, because at least Bassett
Agreed.
has like a couple like, what are they, barn burner performance. It's
Yeah.
like there's a couple moments where you're like, wow, that was great.
To be
But
honest, the person in Glass Onion who stood out the most to me by a mile was Kate Hudson. I thought she was by far the funniest. And like I thought, completely rolled my eyes when I heard she was going to be in it. I had no idea like why we were grabbing Kate Hudson back out of nowhere, and she blew me away. I thought she was absolutely hysterical, and she just portrayed that like narcissistic anti-masker personality just so well. And just like when she came out in that first scene where they're on the dock and she had the Lana Del Rey sequins mask, I fucking lost it. She played the heel so well. And I think in a Knives Out movie, like pretty much everyone is playing heels, and like that it should really be, unless you're the Ana de Armas Janelle Monáe role, you're pretty much a heel. And I think that everyone else sort of undercooked their performances. Kate Hudson knew what to do. She showed up. She came to play. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like dying to see whatever she does next. Like when
well,
her and Glenn Powell were on Actors and on Actors talking about like we should do a rom-com together. A month ago I would have been like, fuck that. Now I'm like, hell yeah. Let's get that going. Whatever she wants to be in, I'm watching it. Except for Sing, of course. No, not Sing. Sorry, music. The
Oh God.
Not circling back to that one, but anything else.
Oh, music. I always forget that she's in that, and it's like such a funny. Didn't she get nominated for a Golden Globe for it?
Golden Globe, yeah.
Isn't her character's name like Zuzu or something?
Yes, it's.
We don't stand. Let's just like be clear. We do not stand music. We do not like music.
As a whole, the whole genre of music.
It's over. It's dead. Move on.
No, but I think like she's really great, and I think one of the issues is I think Ryan's really good at casting, like picking cool people, but putting them in very thankless roles for the most part in these movies. Like you have Catherine Hahn and you give her the straight woman. Like it's Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn did nothing.
She's always been quirky, and like instead, I also just like the whole conceit of this movie that these people would still be friends does not compute to me. Like as soon as there is a right-wing YouTuber, he's not befriending a politician. And like
I see that as plausible.
He's so annoying though.
All of them are so annoying. It doesn't matter. It's a status thing. Like I did see that as feasible, even if maybe I don't think Dave Bautista was necessarily like the most believable person to like portray that archetype, but I think that like the principle of it.
He's a little too close to it. You think?
you know,
never forget. At my press screening, people behind me, my friend, like we're talking about how Dave Bautista, they're like, oh, maybe I'll get so drunk I thought he was hot. I'll think he's hot. And I, for some reason, was like, Dave Bautista is hot. So I literally turned to them. I was like, you guys are like, Denial's not just a river in Egypt. Like, he is hot. And then like, he's not hot in this role. I'm going to be honest. So watching him come on, I was like, oh, I really said that. Was not intended. I don't stand by it, but now like, what do? I seem very strong.
You like turn back around and you're like, you were right. I apologize.
I was kidding. It was a joke because I inserted myself into their conversation.
He was absolutely hysterical though, which of course Rian was like, he has to die halfway in. He's being far too funny and his lines are too well written.
Well, maybe we should transition, if we're talking about characters, into our tier ranking of the characters, which we're doing. If you are watching the visual version, you'll visually see this. If you're not, our rankings are instant icon. I liked them. They were there. Forgettable and immediately no. And let's start out, I think, with probably the easiest one, considering we've already talked about her. Kate Hudson as Birdie. Are we saying icon? Or like where?
I'm saying icon for sure. She blew my mind. I'm
gonna say I liked them.
We stan Kate Hudson.
Yeah, I would probably agree with Paul that I liked them, but I love that you loved her, Michael. I think that's like, you know, valid. Great.
It was just she understood the assignment. She knew what we were here to do. I need everybody in the next Knives Out to be in the movie Kate Hudson was in.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's a good argument. What about Benoit Blanc, specifically now the gay Benoit Blanc compared to the first film?
Well, to me, you know, sexuality doesn't define who you are as a person. You know, I see people as deeper than that. So I already had him as an icon, and you know, if he wants to be gay, if he wants to be out, I say, go on. He wants
to be. If he's making that choice.
I say go on then, Benoit. Go off. He's an icon for me for sure.
Paul's going to do the same spiel you did about sexuality and then be like, I'm going to put him in immediately no.
I was really about to say immediately no.
I also agree that he's an icon.
No. I'll put him in icon.
Okay.
He's the only reason you come for these movies.
Sure.
Also, you know what's funny? I remember not to go back to the White Lotus again, but I remember when the White Lotus season 2 cast came out, and I was a little disappointed. I remember when this cast came out, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good cast." And like after watching both, they were flipped.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I
Because the
became a
power
bunch of
of
fans
a-
of a lot of people that I really liked, and a bunch of people in this, I'm like, yeah, they sure were there.
I think some
Because the
people
power of
came
the
into this
script.
a little. I think some people came into this a little complacent. Like everyone in White Lotus came to play. Like that's their big chance, like being something popular.
Yes.
This like a bunch of these were definitely just like, yeah, sure, I could be in Greece during the pandemic. Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
Well, speak of the which, Leslie Odom Jr. is Lionel. I'm gonna say I think he was like there.
I have
don't
him.
know. He's like a
Definitely who.
scientist.
I don't even remember his character outside of like his poster.
I
His
have him
character
under
poster.
immediately no. He's immediately no for me. Honestly, Hamilton is a DQ in itself, if we're being completely honest. But like, even putting aside the fact that he appeared in Hamilton, just his character in the movie, I think that, like you said, they wrote nothing for him. I don't really like if I'm being serious, I do think he's a good actor. I thought he was terrific in One Night in Miami. This movie, this character, I don't remember a single personality trait he had. I don't remember a line he said. Bro was just standing there. So
my favorite part about this
no for me
is that he also was in Murder on the Orient Express, and I can't remember him being in Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, he was.
This man is just the Who of people.
He really just like shows up and does nothing.
He was also in music.
Oh shit! I guess he was.
God. Wow, the music connections, they just keep on coming.
This was a music reunion.
He's in the Exorcist.
Look in the background, see us everywhere, just like popping up. She's the Easter egg. Is how many times Sia pops up.
I think Sia would be great in Knives Out 3, genuinely.
Sia should have sang like the theme song for this, like the Bond theme.
You know what? That's also what it needs. It does, and I know that would connect it to Bond a little too much, but I feel like it does need like a fun, like, very corny Bond-esque theme for each one of these.
And honestly, I don't know if Craig had a problem with that, he would be the one being uppity, to be honest. Like, who cares? I mean, yeah.
Moving on, we have Janelle Monáe as Helen. I guess technically Andy also, but let's just go with Helen.
Let's separate them.
Well, we have one picture, so we're splitting it.
Okay. I'm gonna go with They Were There.
I liked them.
I liked them too. I did enjoy her performance. I think she was definitely given some of the best material, and she did a good job, I thought.
I love on our comeback episode to try to get people to like us. We're like, Janelle Monáe was average. We like Rise of Skywalker, and Death on the Nile is better than Knives Out 2. Right. Like, we're really going to get the audiences this time.
You know what, though? There are people that think that, and at least we're being different. Okay, so, no, but I will say, with Janelle Monáe, I feel like I really liked her until her monologue at the end was real not good. Like, I thought actually her performance of it was like a little like, oh, Rian wrote the script and you've read it and practiced it and now you're doing the performance, versus like it being realizations and like discussions and things. And all the breaking of the glass. No, okay, I liked them, but that's it. Final offer.
Okay, well, what about Duke Cody, aka Dave Bautista?
Immediately no.
They were there.
I'm fine with immediately no.
I very loosely say they were there until they were not there.
Okay, but I have to talk. Okay, now that we're talking about him, I have to talk about the most annoying part of this whole movie. If one of your friends is deathly allergic to something, your cocktail does not include that. And I don't care if the whole point was, oh, they're so, into themselves that they didn't even think about that. He wasn't planning to murder him. They had something that could murder their friend instantly. And they're like, oh, we'll have it on the island. That does not happen. It's not a real thing. And it was like when they revealed that, I was like, what? Are you like? It's so like scripted. Like even if like say you're allergic to peanuts, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, no, I have this whole spread of food. There are peanut butter cookies right there. Those will kill you, but the rest are fine. You don't do that. It's a bare minimum, like not even like being a human, but like it's just stupid. It's so stupid.
I also think that's like one of the worst moments of the screenplay because it's so like obviously thrown in there, and you're like, oh, okay, we got it, and then like ruins everything. I hate that.
Yeah. I
I'm
actually
put
thought
him
that he was going to get
forgettable.
killed some other way, and they thought it was going to be the pineapple. And it was like, oh, he had this pineapple, and then they look, and he's like jugular slit or something. And I was like, this will be funny. Nope, nothing.
Well, what about the villain of the film, Miles Braun, played by Edward Norton?
He's also
I liked him.
Yeah, he's
I
also.
liked him. I think he does. I mean, Ed Norton is someone who I feel really bad for because I think he's a piece of shit, and it's really hard to be a piece of shit. And then continue on being a great actor. And yeah, I liked him. I think he does the best. Honestly, he probably does one of the stronger performances because like when we talk about like the Marvel villains that like you go, I can kind of see what you're trying to do. Like he does that for so long and then they're like, no, he's really dumb. And you're like, oh, okay. But like I knew he was the bad guy, but also I was like, I can believe he has morals. And then it's like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he
well done performance wise.
He played the just arrogance and just like narcissism of it all really well. But that's just Edward Norton, like in every role.
I know it's probably just Edward Norton, but
yeah, like, he just showed up.
It was definitely just great casting, but
yeah,
he was good. I do usually enjoy him, and I think this is one of the bigger roles he's had in a while. I don't even really remember except whatever random fucking Wes Anderson shit he was in. Like I don't really remember the last like big Edward Norton thing.
It was that movie that I liked and no one else did.
That sounds right.
Brooklyn.
Motherless Brooklyn.
Oh God, I hated that film.
You would really like that. That's such
that's very Brooklyn. Paul.
That is the most you ass movie to like.
I'm sorry. Gugu Mbatha-Raw was in it. Of course I'm gonna like it. Like
fair. It was a good cast, if I remember correctly.
Paul's like week 1 of my birthday month, Motherless Brooklyn now. Add it to the list.
We'll do it every week. It's like one of those things where we rewatch it and see what we learned the second, third, and fourth time.
Oh, like
it might take me a month just to get through it.
Like the Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Where they watch it. What are they watching that? They're watching that one every year until they die. But there was another podcast that watched something every week for a year.
They watched Sex in the City 2, I believe it was, every single week for a year. And they saw Cats every day in the theater for 2 weeks straight, which sounds like my dream.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you two did anyway.
Yeah, I saw it 5 times in theaters.
We cannot expose on this podcast that both me and Paul, like for new fans, are Cat stands. Like we can't do this and then say Glass Onion's bad.
You're not saying Glass Onion's bad. I'm just saying Glass Onion needs it. You know what it is?
Do you think Glass Onion or Cats is better?
He thinks Cats.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
one has Taylor Swift.
Well, let's see what happens. Swifties. Let's see what happens in Knives Out 3. Taylor Swift might be directing it at this point.
Imagine at the Eras tour, the lights go down. The first song is McCavity. All I'm saying.
Yes. Imagine at the Eras tour, the lights go down and she just plays Glass Onion from beginning to end.
Hey guys, I really like this movie. I thought we could take a look at it.
She just sits down in the screen and watches. Thank you.
Taylor's like, I love Rian Johnson, and all the boyfriends leave. And
the entire stadium is silent except Taylor Swift, who is laughing at every joke.
Right, exactly.
The next one, so our original category for forgettable was Who, and I specifically created it for this character, Peg. Jessica Henwick is Birdie's assistant. I don't know what else they do in this film. Who are they? They're forgettable.
I'm giving Jessica They Were There because I like Jessica a lot. I think she's fantastic. And I think that, as per usual, she was given an incredibly underwritten and bad role. But because Jessica Henwick, that's just her curse in life, she gets a "they were there" from me.
Okay.
And that one scene she did have incredible chemistry with Kate Hudson, and the sweatshop scene, her reacting in that scene was very good, and I think makes half of the comedy in that scene.
Paul's ready to strike you down.
No, that actually is another one of the parts. There's so many holes in this movie. So, like, we're supposed to feel bad for her character because she's taking the fall for that, theoretically.
Yes.
But she fucked up. Like, I don't understand. That was one of those moments where I was like, no, but she's in the wrong here. Like, it's her fault.
But she was stupid. It wasn't, like, malicious. She's just stupid.
But, like, why wouldn't she take the fall? You're just saying because someone didn't do it maliciously, they don't have to take the fall?
Because she's likable. Because she's, like, an icon.
By the way, I'm going to put her in I liked them. Actually. I remember
how
her lines.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I guess they go in the middle with "they were there," but
it was she quite literally has the same role in this that she does in The Gray Man. It is the exact same.
That's character. Not a compliment.
It is to me. Oh, Carson, I forgot to tell you, I'm the lone fan of The Gray Man.
I love that.
I saw The Gray Man. I was like, this is such a goofy, fun little time. And if it was directed like by Simon West and not the Russo brothers, it would have virtually all ironic 5-star ratings on Letterboxd. The only reason people don't like The Gray Man is because they have a thing with the Russo brothers and they want to be they want to be the one with the most like film Twitter take about like what.
Did you like Cherry?
No, that sucked shit.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, that was the worst.
Well, I still need to watch The Gray Man. I want to by the end of the year, so I will get back to you on my thoughts.
It's just like hopeful, you're gonna watch it and be like, "This is fine." People make it out to be like it's the worst thing, and it's just Face Off with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans.
Well, that's really promising, actually.
Yeah, it's like not as crazy or campy as Face Off, but it's like the same like spy versus spy. There's some fun like action stuff in there. People are just, I don't know. People were pissed off because of Joe Russo's latest comment about how movies should be accessible to everybody.
Sure. Do you like The Gray Man or Knives Out 2 better?
Ooh, I mean, probably Glass Onion over The Gray Man, but The Gray Man has definitely topped several other like high profile 2022 movies on my ranking. That solid 3 stars for The Gray Man has it leapt over several other big ones that I gave 2.5 stars. Like the Whale versus The Gray Man clears.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's not hard to do, eh? Right? Like, okay.
I mean, but The Whale was gray in his own right.
I guess that's true.
Next we have Catherine Hahn as Claire. She's a politician.
Who? She's who for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I love Catherine
iconic.
For what?
Paul loves politicians.
Yeah. No, I'll go with I liked them.
She's a who.
She had a couple funny lines.
I just know she can do so much better. She can do so much better.
She can do so much better.
Literally, her and Leslie Odom Jr. go to the corner of that pool and they do not leave it. Literally. That's just all they do. That's it.
And they say a bunch of lines for the trailer. Like, I'm sorry, what are we really doing here? Like, that's. I
genuinely think they went to Rian Johnson. They were like, how little can we do to be in this movie? Like, we'll give you whatever lines you want, but just like, we don't want to be in it. We just want a trip to Greece during the pandemic, which is valid, but I don't know, forgettable.
My issue with her character, actually, and Leslie Odom's, is the glass breaking scene at the end. I just don't buy. This is the same as the pineapple juice. I don't buy that these characters who knew that their friend actually invented something and still fucked her over, find out she was murdered and really care that much. Like, They're like, we didn't even want you at the party. And then they're like, oh, she got murdered for the same thing that we already knew about. Like, it's just very much like a, eh. And I really struggled when we were just supposed to get that they are good people all of a sudden. It's the exact opposite problem, which I don't really have a problem with Knives Out, and that everybody just kind of gets fucked and it's fine. That works for me. Whereas this one, I was like, why are these people suddenly getting, like, you know, allowed to have been, like, a free pass, basically. But
valid. Lastly, we have Madeline Klein as Whiskey. I'm going to make the argument of instant icon. She is a queen. She is the only one other than Janelle Monáe to get like an emotional arc. She is an icon.
She has an arc.
If you like, sure, yeah. She like doesn't want to be with Duke, but is trying for her career. And then she has like a great moment with Janelle Monáe. Like, this is very similar. If you watched Big Brother, The Amazing Race, Survivor with me, like the blonde icon. The blonde straight woman is who I like worship at the altar of, and I think Whiskey's an icon.
Don't let people just pull that clip out.
Sure.
Blonde Republican woman, that's Carson's type.
Honestly, I'll stand. Let's be real.
But you know what?
Like, I kind of wish Carrie Lake would run for president.
Oh no.
I mean,
I can't say
the worst on the ballot.
I can't say that I'm any better because she's a high I liked them for me. Like, not quite icon, but like right on the verge. And I had like,
do I like them?
What show is she from? Is she from Virgin River? I know she's from one of those.
Wait, is she?
Yeah, she's from one of those Netflix shows. That
my friend was the scriptwriter for that show.
See, Paul, don't you want to support your friend and make her an instant icon on this list?
Sure.
But she was incredibly funny. It just like I do agree with you also. She just had like one of the clearest takes on what her character would be.
Because she feels like she was there and she wanted to prove herself, and she's like, oh, I'm going to take this role. It's not just a free vacation. Like, she's trying to make herself like a star, and you can feel like just an effort there that is missing from like everyone else.
She was also in Boy Erased. Remember that movie?
Sadly. I wish I could erase it from my memory.
I remember watching it and being like, Although it was the moment when I was like, Troye Sivan actually could act, and we need to start utilizing that more.
Oh, and then he just never did anything else acting.
Yeah, now he's in the new Weekend show.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, The Idol. Yeah, he is.
He'll probably die in season 1.
Yeah,
probably
season 1 of 1.
Well, that's gonna do it for our tier ranking. I think that's a pretty good list. So we didn't have anyone we outright hated, which I guess is a positive, Ryan. Congrats on creating good characters. Go ahead.
Wasn't there that other guy?
I don't have anybody else on my.
Oh, the roommate?
Yeah.
Oh, not on the. I don't have a picture
icon.
for him, but
I'll
put him as an icon. Sure. He's number one.
Let's go find a picture and be like, the roommate. And they were
I'm shocked
roommates.
they didn't give him. Can you believe they gave the Mona Lisa painting a character poster, but not him?
That's not.
That's
right.
dirty.
Yeah.
I also really hate that scene. That's my truth.
What a sad year for the Mona Lisa between that and the soup cans, or like just paintings.
They haven't thrown it on the Mona
like,
Lisa
wow.
yet.
Soon, hopefully.
I have a whole. It's funny. I have a really fraught relationship with the Mona Lisa because I get very. This is because I personally turn everything anthropomorphized, but I get so sad. So if you've never been to the Louvre, there's the Mona Lisa, but on the other side there's another painting, and I get so sad for that other painting. The painting on the other side of the Mona Lisa. Imagine you're like doing your best. You're a painting. You existed for all these hundreds of years. You're behind the Mona Lisa, which apparently isn't really the real Mona Lisa because that got exploded.
This quite literally sounds like the concept of a Pixar movie.
Yeah, sure.
I went to the Louvre and was like depressed. I was like, oh, there's a painting on the other side.
You're like I mean, that makes total sense for who you are as a person, that you'd have like an emotionally charged
take
on the Mona Lisa.
I also got emotional when the Mona Lisa burned up. I was like, and it's not even real, but it was upsetting.
And then there was the only part of the ending that I didn't like is when Rian Johnson did the like Quentin Tarantino thing where like if you don't get what the thematic visual metaphor is, we're gonna have one character literally start pointing her finger and going, the Mona Lisa burned because you thought that you could protect it, but instead you're gonna be the one who destroyed them. I was like, come on.
Well,
maybe Rian Johnson just isn't a good screenwriter. Like, have you ever considered this, guys?
I also went to the bathroom during one scene, and so I missed why the Mona Lisa kept opening and closing. Was there a reason for that?
It was like
it was just like a security system.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just have the security glass on at all times?
So you can really see it.
And plus it makes a cool sound.
Yeah.
Like, that's really why.
You're not getting the genius of Rian Johnson, Paul. I really need you to kind of try a little bit harder.
No, I do feel like he needs a co-writer. That's my truth. And I think a lot of writers need co-writers, and I think that that's okay.
I want him to go...
he needs someone who will help him with his comedy and also his plotting. So
he needs to hire Mike White. Genuinely, just like get Mike White to write, Rian Johnson to direct. I mean, ideally Mike White can just direct, but if we need Rian Johnson, let's throw him in the director's chair. There you go.
I want him to.
What I'm getting at is if the Glass Onion was the White Lotus.
Yeah, if we could have this take place at a resort.
100 million% fucking Ryan's going to use Jennifer Coolidge in the next Knives Out and be like, she's mine now.
Well, she's available.
He's going to write for her to like successfully get on a boat from a bigger boat. You know, because that's how Ryan thinks. Ryan thinks that way. How do we like piss people off? Well, he's malicious like that.
Oh man. I think
who's worse, Miles or Rian Johnson?
Rian Johnson. He killed Star Wars, Paul.
I think he just needs to like really like understand that he is a Soderbergh versus a like Agatha Christie. Where like it's where he's
that's
like
so rude of Soderbergh.
Well, I just mean in the sense that I think if Rian Johnson were to be less of a like, this is my masterful whodunit, who will it be? What this winding mystery box, and more just like, this is a fun movie where a bunch of pretty idiots say stupid shit in a beautiful location, and then something fun happens at the end. I think I think his like style of writing would go down so much easier if they didn't try to like frame him as this like genius writer when I really don't think he even thinks he is. I think that's more just like the marketing of him because that's just sort of like the reputation.
No, okay,
but film Twitter loves it.
Here's the other thing. I would say a lot of it is his overall face really gets me. That red hair fucking beat up a ginger, and as a former ginger, I feel like I can say that. I was very annoying when I was red haired. My body was like, no, let's go with a blonde. I had bright red hair. It was like a strawberry blonde.
Yep. I can see it. It's not that unbelievable.
Yep. And if I grow out my beard, it becomes red.
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to say it.
No, I was like, it's kind of giving like self-hatred. You kind of look like Rian Johnson. Like,
I've seen. No, it's the smile. I don't have his smile. He has like smug.
We could probably have filmed this and just said you were Rian Johnson, and people would have believed it, and it would have got way more clicks.
He doesn't really smile. He kind of goes like,
yeah.
He only smiles when he thinks of ways to be malicious to the fans. That's the only time
he remembers destroying Star Wars.
Every night he smiles as he jerks off as he watches The Last Jedi, thinking about what he did.
That we've been able to be chaotic for so long, and now that we're putting this on YouTube where there's comments,
it's over. Like honestly, any hope I have for this has gone.
And Carson will read them out on the podcast. He'll be like, "Please." No, I think. Like, okay, as an overall wrap up, I'm curious what you guys want for the third one.
Carson. None. No, I don't want one.
Just
Like, I don't know. What do you want from me? Like,
end.
I want it to be funny, and I want it to have a good murder mystery. We've not accomplished both these tasks yet, so
I agree. I think that's my biggest thing is, I think I want, so if we're going to go more abstract, I think my biggest thing is I want Benoit to finally have some character plots. And you know what? I'd also like him to start, if he's going to be Hercule Poirot. One of the things I really like about Hercule is that he has Hastings, who's his assistant, and they haven't done those in the Brana movies either. But like, he's kind of like the Robin to Poirot's Batman, and I think I would like that character. And they keep doing it with like a different person related to the mystery. It's like, no, it'd be fun if it was like, give him a little assistant who's like, basically doing similar to what forgot her character name. Peg.
Oh,
Yeah. Peg was doing in this, where she's just like kind of there and like maybe helps with some things, but for the most part is just like there to be a bounce off point, because I don't think I get enough from him. Which is really frustrating because Craig is doing great work. I'm also glad that they didn't do the thing where he has a different accent every movie. Well, that was going to be really
same.
I think it'd be very natural to get that by just bringing his boyfriend along. Like, I genuinely think, like, have them go on a cruise together and then have, like, someone die and then they think it's his boyfriend or something. Like, I don't know. It's just, like, a very natural way to get an emotional arc.
You think we're going to be allowed to have a gay murder mystery?
That was the next part. I want a 10-minute scene of them, like, graphically fucking in the cruise ship. I think Ryan, listen to me, Ryan. It would piss a lot of people off.
I just
think about it.
I also am curious. Like the last one I know, like hit people with the politics. I think this one hits with the politics less,
way less,
because it's also dated. Like the other one, we were like in the middle of all that when that came out, and now we're past COVID. Basically, I say as I may have COVID, I don't have COVID. I've tested 3 times.
I mean, I think that's something that more is apparent to you in the moment seeing it right now. But I think when people look back and watch them as a series, you're just going to be like, oh, this is a text of this era of time.
I guess, but if you watch Children in Cages, no one even remembers that argument, that whole conversation as like a thing. Like we still remember the atrocity of it, but we don't remember it being like a thing people thought about.
I remember.
Like, did you say I do?
I do 100%.
Okay.
No, like I mean, maybe I'm just more chronically online than anyone in this.
No, I know, but like I don't think we like.
Say,
but it's not like still part of the cultural lexicon. Like we're not like, hey, that was a thing. Like the the Russia investigation, where we still talk about it, like even after it's been passed. It just didn't really hold. So like when you watch that scene, you're like, okay, and yeah, but I think overall, if he wants to do politics, he's got to get a little more pointed and a little less Adam McKay, because that's the vibe I get. Is very
what's the issue with this one specifically? Like the last one, look at like the worthiness of the morals or politics he's like exploring. Like he's making a very clear statement, like immigrants, and like he's very directed and focused, and like he finds fun with it, but it's something of value. Here he's like, oh, rich people are bad. Oh, look at the alpha male YouTuber. Like it's not like it's not poignant. It's not like, but the first film was even to like a way greater extent. I don't know.
I think for me, what I want 2 things. I want, no one said it yet, I'll say it. I want the Hugh Grant and Daniel Craig team up. I like maybe them being boyfriends complicates that in some way, but you can't tell me that Daniel Craig and Hugh Grant solving a mystery together is a fantastic 10 out of 10 movie. Like that.
Oh no, I'm very excited about his butler.
They've got to do that. And then the other thing is that I think this kind of speaks to what you guys are saying. I think he needs to find like a very different point of satire from just these weird rich people. I think like that's getting so played out with, it's becoming a trope in itself with Triangle Sadness and the White Lotus and everything. I think the best thing they could do for the next Knives Out is to find a different topic altogether. It's like something that has nothing to do with the haves and the have-nots. Imagine that that mysteries have other topics, and like have him just solve something that is simple and fun, and like it has that have the elements of social commentary, but kind of in a different web, in a different structure. That's what I'd like. Because if it's just another like family unit of wealthy like assholes from XYZ Twitter thing, I think it's gonna really fall apart the third time. I think it has to
because there's
grow.
no Twitter.
Put them on
True,
a
good point.
Carnival cruise. There's
Right,
no
exactly.
halves there. This is the like put them on a Carnival cruise. It's the answer.
Honestly,
Why
yeah.
would you do a Carnival cruise?
Why Carnival
What was that?
specifically?
I feel like they're, well, I don't know. My perception of the cruise brands is that they're the most Walmart of them.
Yeah, I think that's.
But maybe I'm wrong.
That would
I feel
be
like a
fun.
Disney
Been on a
cruise is like
cruise.
expensive. You've never been on a cruise, Paul?
No.
I get seasick, but I've been on one.
Yeah, I've been on one.
I
You
want to go
get
again.
seasick?
I do horribly.
I've been
I
on
Just like
don't.
Jennifer Coolidge. Wow.
You're like, I didn't, but I just punched myself in the stomach so I can be like Jennifer Coolidge.
I want to relate to her so badly.
I take Epicac. Like, it's a whole thing.
It's a 20-year plan. It's gonna work out in the end.
Oh God. Yeah, I think you're right. Could be Hugh Grant. I am curious about how that'll play because, like, I feel like there's a reason that it's so toned down in this one, and I would guess it's because they were like, we're marketing this to Asia, and it's huge. He can be a dandy man, but he can't.
I mean, you're not wrong. It is convenient how you could just edit that out really easily. You know?
Almost like they will in most countries.
Or a lot of people are going to comment
that it's his butler.
Our big Brazilian fan base is going to comment on this. Like, what are you talking about? Hugh Grant isn't in this at all.
Right.
Like, well.
Okay, so our good friend, the film drunk, wrote me when they announced the gay reveal, and I was like, okay, who's his boyfriend? And he goes, Lakeith Stanfield. So I told, let's say, 20 people that it was Lakeith Stanfield. And then I hear from someone else who had seen the movie, it's not Lakeith Stanfield. To which I go back and I'm like, hi, you said it was Lakeith Stanfield. And he was like, I don't remember saying this.
There's a few reveals this year.
He does not remember writing me Lakeith Stanfield. It's like one of the funniest things because I just lied to so many people.
The first and only time Hugh Grant and Lakeith Stanfield will ever be.
My favorite part is though I kind of like it more than Hugh Grant.
No,
like I kind of got sad. I was like, oh, that would be cute. They're like enemies to lovers.
They weren't even really enemies in the first one. They were just kind of working together.
No, he doesn't like him.
It's like set like just in the sense of like
until he wants to fuck him, which apparently never happened because it's Hugh Grant. Maybe they recast the character
between Tiff and the release. Yeah,
everyone else is like, oh no, I was saying they recast. It's supposed to be Lakeith's character, but now he's played by Hugh Grant.
Maybe
that I don't know about that.
Well, do we have any final thoughts on the film we would like to share? I will say, I think you're probably going to enjoy this when you watch it on Netflix today with your family. I don't think it's necessarily great, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also perfect for what they're doing with it. A lot of people were like whinging about it not going into theaters, which I understand, but also it is perfect for like, we just ate Christmas dinner. Let's all sit around and watch, Knives Out 2, which I love how no one even calls it Glass Onion. Like, people just call it Knives Out, which we're going to get to like the 6th one and people are still going to be like, the Knives Out movie.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what we do with things like Mission Impossible. We never call them Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. We're just like, the new one.
It's like Madden NFL. It's like, yeah, no, I agree. It's very much like, as long as you're on fairly stable political ground with your family, which is a big ask in itself, I would say like it's definitely worth watching post Christmas dinner. But I also I do think that what they did with theaters for a week and then Netflix for the holidays is definitely the route, but instead do it for like 2 or 3 weeks, because it definitely showed itself to be a movie that people actually care to see, which is kind of unbelievable in this current like day of just people not wanting to see anything that isn't like a certain big budget thing. Like I do think that I get why people were hemming and hawing about it not being in theaters after seeing how well it did, but it is also just it's such a like background atmosphere movie too. So I do get it. I do get both sides of that, but I do think overall it just worked really well for me. I probably liked it the most out of everybody here. It definitely seems that way.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's also one of those movies that I fault people for liking movies sometimes. This is not one of those. Like, if we were talking about, say, The Menu, I get actively annoyed when people like The Menu.
I
This I'm like,
remember.
oh, I know. This is like, I'm like, sure. It's the same. You know what it is? I'm Aubrey Plaza in The White Lotus going, I don't watch Ted Lasso. It's those kind of like, it's just like, it's very much that vibe. Like, sure, I'm very happy for you. It just does nothing for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So that's going to be it for the review. Let's go into our question of the week. Because it is Christmas today, I wanted to ask, what is everyone's favorite movie to watch on Christmas? And I will start with The Polar Express, because I love The Polar Express. It's the first film I remember seeing in theaters, which ages me. I'm young. Hi, hello. But
Which
I think it's
ages
just
me.
such, it does.
Wait, did you say it's the
Um,
first movie you saw in theaters?
that I remember.
Wait, this is cute. Keep going.
Oh, thank you. It is. It's also just like a cute film. I think the iconography and soundtrack is like iconic. Maybe it's because I grew up with it. My favorite thing is how in elementary school every year for Christmas, one classroom does like an elaborate performance of the Polar Express, and it's weird, but like they do it. Love that for them. I don't know. I think the Polar Express is adorable, and I think it works well, even if the animation is a bit wonky in the faces. But like that's kind of charming in its own right. So that's mine. Paul, what movie do you like watching on Christmas?
The first movie I ever saw in theaters,
Aw,
Muppet Christmas Carol. So,
look at us.
yeah. Specifically, in the extra section of Disney Plus, they now have the full length version of the movie, and you watch it. And I watched it for the first time since I was a kid, and I'm like, this is so dumb that they cut this out. You watch the movie, and you're like, legitimately, you need this moment so bad. I think like for a lot of people, you'll watch the original and you'll be like, it's a 4-star movie. You watch it with the song and you're like, this is perfect. This is 5-star because it has references. It explains things. It has that emotional hit where everything else gets to be like happy. And if you don't have that, it was just it's overall like the Christmas Carol ends up being very happy till the last scene. If you don't have, um, you know, The Love Is Gone, which I think is one of the greatest songs ever written. So mine is The Muppet Christmas Carol, but specifically watch the watch the one with The Love Is Gone added.
Yes, and
Um,
I'd recommend anyone who hasn't listened already, our review last year we did of A Muppet's Christmas Carol. I
Where
think it
I
was last
fought for
December.
something that I got the next year. It's not even a monkey's
Disney
paw situation. I just got it.
Disney loves you, Paul. Michael, what do you like to watch on Christmas?
so your guys' choices are definitely they have I want to remember my childhood energy. Not so much for me. My choice is always the night before, Seth Rogen's holiday movie from
Okay.
several years back. That is one of my favorite Christmas movies,
The
legitimately.
fuck is this?
It's with him and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Anthony Mackie. Um, it's actually like I'm not like joking. It is a really really good movie. It's directed by
It
Jonathan
is a
Levine.
3.1.
I know it didn't get the best reviews when it came out. It's directed by the same guy who made
Oh, I like him. Except he did
yeah,
Long Shot.
he made 50-50 with Seth Rogen and
He
Joseph
made Warm
Gordon-Levitt.
Bodies, which is one of my favorite movies.
Paul, you would like this movie. It pretty
All
much
right.
is about it has a really cool emotional core to it too, because it's about three kind of like lifelong childhood friends who have this like Christmas tradition every year where they go out and go crazy on Christmas. But it's mostly Joseph Gordon-Levitt who's like very Arrested Development, like he wants to be 16 forever, and he wants to keep this tradition going, even though Seth and Anthony have like lives beyond this now and Christmas things that they need to do. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt just went through a really bad breakup, so he's like really trying to get the like Christmas tradition party going. And Seth and Anthony are like, I mean, we'll do it one more time, I guess. But it's a really good combination of seasonal, like fun, Christmassy Seth Rogen gags and like a genuine emotional story that you really get into by the end. And it is very kind of sweet and moving. I really do think it's one of the best Christmas movies made in recent times.
I'm going to choose to believe that's also the first movie you saw in theaters and you just
Right.
never tried them until 2015.
Right, exactly. It also features possibly...
Mama let me out once.
It also features maybe the greatest performance by Michael Shannon in his career.
Aw. Wow, it has a lot of famous people in it.
Yeah.
True. Just like Glass Onion. Really all comes together.
So wow, this is not airing on anything. That sucks.
I have a copy of it.
Oh, you could trade my copy of Pleasure for the night before.
Right, exactly.
So you can vote if you think any of those are the best on Twitter at ClapperPodcast, or you can reply with your own thoughts if you have a film you like to watch on Christmas that we did not mention. Let's end this off because we chose a really weird time to go on a hiatus and come back and do this new format, considering there's like 20 movies releasing every single week that are all big and notable. But that's okay. We're just going to ignore those outside of right now, where we're going to go around and just give some rapid reviews. Michael, do you want to start? Because I believe you want to take us back to the world of Pandora really quickly.
Oh, yeah. I saw Avatar: The Way of Water on Friday. I think that if you liked the first one, you will absolutely like this one. Despite the extremely, racist, problematic aspects of it, enjoy the first one. And I think that it's as a spectacle, it's very well crafted, and like you really do care about the characters. I actually saw the re-release when the re-release was out a couple months ago. I enjoyed it just as much. I'm like in the one like pocket of people that I think genuinely does have Avatar nostalgia, because I was like late middle school when it came out, so it really did blow my mind, and I really did see it over and over again. And then it did kind of fall out. This one, I think I'm pretty sure it will be compared to Force Awakens 1 billion times by next year. It very much has the vibe of we are simultaneously doing a sequel and reintroducing people to the world of Pandora, but I think it does it in a really in a solid way with kind of the family saga of the Sullys and like showing you the underwater world. All the visuals are amazing. Definitely worth seeing in a larger format as James Cameron commands. It definitely does, I dare say, demand that experience, because once you lose that, I do think it's a slightly less, I think, sturdy movie than the original, just in terms of pacing and in terms of all that. But it has a great third act climax as well that pretty much takes up an entire hour. So it's definitely worth seeing. I don't think it's going to be the sensation that the original was, though.
I think I'm going to watch it in the bath to feel the full Way of Water.
That's more immersive than IMAX.
I really hope in 4DX they just like continually have water dripping on you. Like
I was supposed to go to the 4DX movie with my friend Michelle, but then she fucking pieced and left for the break. So I'm gonna have to wait. But I think she saw it without me. She's not gonna see it again.
I'll go again.
I would say like
4DX.
I love the idea that someone hasn't seen Avatar and is like, this is what's gonna push me to watch it. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna see it in a theater, right?
Yeah.
Like, kind of a waste. Paul, what do you want to talk about for your rapid reviews?
Listen, I keep getting yelled at by this company. I forgot to watch all their movies, but I will talk about two things that I watched. They're very insane. Okay. My first one is the Adult Swim Yule Log. Don't look it up. Just watch it. Nope. Just look. Don't look it up. Just watch it. You will either hate or love it, but at least you had an experience. And then my second one is I just watched the Miss Cleo documentary last night. And
Wait, there's a Miss Cleo documentary? Where?
yes, it's on HBO Max. And it's really fun. I think it's a lot sadder than I was expecting it to be. It is, you know what? It gives me similar vibes to the documentary, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like, where you're just like, woof, this is bleak. Like, it's someone who just got caught up in some stuff and, like, usually is fine. But, yeah, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that and the Yule log are great. I also watched, I guess, Daniel Sloss's new stand-up special. That was good. Not like I really like his other ones, and this one very much felt like he feels that he has to emotionally hit in the same way, and he's running out of like personal material to pull from. Even like he only has really two that he pulls from his own emotional life. His third one was pulling from someone else's, and then this fourth one is like a thing that he hasn't mentioned so far, so it feels like it's not that big a deal, but he tries to make it a big deal. um but overall, if you like him, it's $5 on his website. I enjoyed myself. I watched it over an evening. It's good.
I'm obsessed that you were like, we need to do rapid reviews at the end of this episode to talk about certain films, and you
The
just didn't
thing
talk
is,
about
I
any of
haven't
them.
watched those movies because I just pull
Valid.
them. Although I need to watch EO. Like, I did get a screener for that. That was on me.
Yeah.
You got EO? I want to watch it with you.
You're gonna hate EO.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know what Paul. I cannot. You just assume whatever I say you're gonna like, you're gonna hate. Whatever I say you're gonna
I
hate, you're
feel
gonna
like
love.
I'm very obvious.
Do you?
You're the number one person I've ever met where like truly I have no idea if you're gonna like or hate any film.
I can
Oh, I
usually
also
get
like
a
Silent
vibe.
Night. We didn't talk about that. That was fun.
It sure was. I did. I liked
literally
it
fell
too.
asleep.
You did?
On
Oh,
round 2, I fell asleep.
oh, fair.
Round 2.
Well, my roommate wanted to see it.
I know, but like, so you didn't fall asleep. You'd already seen it. It's like
Let's
when
be
I
clear, I
fell
was
asleep.
bored round 1. So
I it's one of those movies that I feel like the sequel will be really good, so I'm going to support the first one because I think the sequel will get rid of the namby-pamby, like, family drama and go straight into like Viking Santa, and I want that.
yeah.
We also had a
Like, no,
great
I
time.
agree.
We also had a great time seeing Violent Night because Paul and I went with one of our friends who doesn't usually have like really like expressive reactions to movies, but for some reason, Violent Night, he loved it. He was just talking about like I've I have not been this engaged with a movie in a very long time. Like he was like Paul was there. He
Yeah,
loved
well,
that.
my favorite part about it too was like we were surround sound, so my friend Michelle was on the other side, and she also was having a great time, and we were both just like, "Oh, this is what movies are like for like people who aren't critical pieces of shit."
Right,
Like,
right,
they just go into a movie and they're like, "Whoa, this was fun." It is funny. I actually saw Glass Onion, popping back to that for like a half second, with Michelle, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't think about any of this," and not like you're correct, just I don't care, and I'm like, "Huh, what's that like?" I can't imagine just watching something and being like, I don't care if it was like technically good or whatever. Um, it's just fun. I miss that world.
Yeah, it must be nice. I mean, I can't not really relate at all now at this point, but whatever. I have quite a few films I'm gonna just quickly mention. White Noise is like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I do not understand a single decision in that film. Quite literally, if you take a movie and just like delete any sense of style or craft of any kind, it is the worst movie of the year, possibly. The Whale is terrible. I know, Paul, you also hate it. I don't know if you want to jump in. I do not think it adds up to anything, and it quite literally is fat phobic. Let's just be clear. Let's just say it. So not good.
It's
Sadie Sink also is genuinely one of the worst performances of the year. I do not know how anyone can look at her like yelling and trying to be this like dark, like,
which is so
woman or
weird because
whatever.
I
And
have watched her performance in Stranger Things, and she's so good in that. I don't know if
she's
that was
great.
shot before or after, or maybe it's just she's around her friends versus she's trying to win an Oscar. Um,
I
But
also
yeah,
thought she was good in the All Too Well music video.
I have huge
Or short
problems
film.
with which may win an Oscar.
Even though it
So
came out theatrically last year, like, let's be clear, should not be eligible this
no,
year, but
it came
whatever.
out theatrically this year.
It played in theaters in October last year when the album released.
I don't think it played in New York and LA.
It played literally in New York City. Yeah.
Maybe it just
Thank you.
played
I
one.
know the AMC it played at.
Well, because you
Okay.
can play movies beforehand, otherwise, like my screening of any of the early access movies would count for that
Well, if
year.
we put any YouTube video in history and we give it a theatrical release now, it would be
This
eligible for
video,
the next year.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah.
well, this is a
If
feature
we play
now.
this, if we play this in
Um,
theaters in 2 years, they'll be eligible then for an Oscar. Everyone.
No,
I
my
did-
biggest problem with The Whale was I really found that it's not his story to tell. It's not Aronofsky's. I mean, literally, I forgot Charlie's character. It's not his story. It's other people's story. So, like, following, there's a thing where people pick the most interesting character, like, as the lead, and usually it should be that he is the supporting, like the most interesting character should be the one that you're more interacting with than because all we have is like Sadie Sink being the audience surrogate, but she shows up every 5 seconds, and then we have Hong Chow, who I feel like enables him in a weird way. But I think
Yeah, but like with her, you understand it. I mean, Sadie Sink is out there literally trying to murder him. Like,
but I think what's very interesting is two movies that I didn't really like this year have a absolutely insane one scene performance from Samantha Morton, who comes in, does a full on acting lesson, and then is like, goodbye. Like, I was so bored in that movie. She comes in with just fire, and I was like, yes. And then she did it again with She Said. I was like, I cannot do this movie anymore. We're just going to have interview after interview. And then Samantha Morton popped up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be different for me. And she comes in and fucking kills it. She's so good. She is like, when we're talking about like, oh, who should be listed in the best supporting, I think the problem is she has two good ones. And I would guess that like they're just ripple conversations versus like she did this one big one that we need. But yeah, she's so good.
I just
I
want
do
to
think it's
say with
funny that the movie with the backbone of like say something authentic to yourself is being directed by a guy who is a skinny straight white man, and it's about a fat gay man.
I just
So I
think
don't
with
get
The
it.
Whale, the material is so bad. Like, I don't think really any of the actors did a particularly bad job. Like, I even think Sadie Sink, I thought her performance and her acting was good. I just think it's a horribly written character, and I think the whole play is horribly written, and it's written to be performed in a black box theater for 10 people, and to have them all go, ugh, and not like a theatrically released movie for the masses. Like, I really think like that's the root of the issue. Is I just think it's abysmally written, and
Well, my
it's
other
just like everybody, even Aronofsky, I think, was doing their best to sort of realize this material that is just crap, and I think they tried their best, but I just don't really think it was savable or salvageable in any way. It just shouldn't have been made.
well, I also think
Poorly.
like, I mean, one of my biggest issues is like, when we're talking about the fat phobia aspects, I do find it's like a little interesting. Like, people can live at 600 pounds and be fine. Like, they're definitely dealing with health issues, but like they're not dying at 50, like, necessarily. You watch those shows, My 600-Pound Life or whatever, and it's like these people are ill, but they're not like like, this man is full on like having every health issue you could imagine. It's like, so this is more of a leaving Las Vegas suicide. It makes me icky.
Yeah.
The last I'll mention, I think A Man Called Otto is pretty fun. It's like a solid little Tom Hanks feature. I love the original film. I don't think this is as good as that, but like I think it like is shockingly good considering the trailers are bad. It didn't get like any promotional material. It's just like randomly releasing, and I think it's good. But I think the MVP is Babylon. I'll quickly mention Damien Chazelle's I love Chazelle. If you hate Chazelle, I don't know what to tell you. If you hate La La Land, like Paul, I think does, fuck off. But I think it's the best movie of the year and a wonderful exploration and combative perspective on Hollywood and movies through the medium itself. So I enjoy Babylon. Listen to me on the Piecing It Together podcast. I'm on it for Babylon sometime in the past or future. I don't know. But that's coming out. So I think that's going to do it for our episode today. Where can we find everyone on social media? Michael, as our guest, please take it away.
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I can say Twitter right now for the moment. Instagram, Relay, etc. as King of Burbank.
Don't advertise your Instagram. We'll get pulled off Twitter. It's not allowed
true.
anymore.
That's what I was saying.
Paul?
At Price Like Tag on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
And you can find me on Twitter at BP_movie reviews. Letterboxd just Carson Tamar. Thank you so much for listening / watching to this. Again, you can find new episodes now weekly on YouTube as well as all of our old platforms. Thank you so much. And we'll be back next week to discuss some of our favorite and least favorite films of 2022. Goodbye.